Welcome back, CSE 200, to part 2 of ex6, our SpongeBob database. And what we did so far was create the database and create the table, and we didn't add any records yet, and that's what we're going to do now. So to add some records, normally in php-myadmin we could just hit insert and do it that way, but we're trying to learn the SQL language, and we're trying to follow that, and we're using our W3 schools just as a reference to find some of that and copy some of it, and just kind of, if you need explanation, there's explanation there. And the next thing we're going to do is insert. So if we look at the database, we're like, okay, drop, alter, this is all about the, where's insert? And that comes up here. That's with the things when you actually have a database. They have, select that we've done before, and now they have something called insert into. So I'm going to click on insert into, and what this does is it actually inserts records into our database. And they have an example here, and I like to use this one because it's already set up, and I even like it better than the one that they have right in php-myadmin. And so I'll click the try it yourself, and I'll just copy this stuff. And this is with the database, the sample database that they have in W3 schools. So I'll copy it, and I'll go back here, and I'll go to my SQL. Now remember, we're in our table, so we're inserting things into our table. And so make sure you're on your table, and then you go to SQL, and I'll make this bigger right now. Get that little arrow thing, and I'll highlight over here, and I'll paste that in. And obviously we're not using this one, so we're going to change this to be characters, and make sure that turns black and it's not pink. And you can click on that. And then we're not going to have customer name. And we're not going to put in ID, because ID is going to be an auto increment, so we don't have to put that in. So if you just leave it out, you don't have to put anything. So we're not going to put that. We're just going to put, I guess we'll put last name. Now if you click on these, they'll put those ones with those little weird kind of accents in there. I like them without them. I don't like those in there, but that'll save you time by double clicking there. But I'll just type last name, and if you start typing it, it'll come up. So it's not a big deal. And then there's first name, and I guess I did it like that because I copied it originally. So there's first name, and it's coming up. So I want first name, last name, first name. I want species, so I'll have to put species in here. And I'm not going to put city because I have a default for there. So I can put city, but I don't need to put anything in. So I'm going to just leave city out, and I'm just going to do last name, first name. I don't need name here. There's an extra name. Backspace and just put a space. And so for last name, first name, species. I don't need ID because it'll auto increment and put it in itself, and I don't need city because I have a default value. So as long as you match these up, as long as you match up the last name, first name, species, and do that here. So we're going to put in the last name of SquarePants. Now officially SquarePants has a capital P in the middle of it, so we're going to do it, I guess, officially. And officially his name SpongeBob has a capital B in it, so we'll put that in as well. So there's SpongeBob SquarePants, and then all that he's going to need is going to be his species, and he's a sponge, and that's it. So 3 and 3. And now remember, we talked about gender, but I'm going to do that after the fact, so we learn how to alter a table to do that. Even though we already did alter a table by putting in the default value, we'll do it that way. So here's SpongeBob. Now, if you wanted to do more than one, you could do it here, but let's just do one. We'll just practice with one, and then we could do 2 the next time, and then we'll add in our gender part. So we're insert into characters, and again, we got this from our SQL tutorial, insert into, and we copied some stuff and we put it in here, and we changed it to match our table that we're working in, and we're just going to hit go and see what happens here. We don't have any X's over here. I'll scroll down and hit the go button, and I see green, so that's good, and it gives me a little thing here of what I did. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check. I'm going to go to browse, and I should have an item, and there it is, 101. Because we had that ID, SquarePants, SpongeBob, Sponge, Bikini Bottom. And now we're going to add another one, and maybe we'll add 2. So I'll do the get autosaved query, and I'll make this bigger. The way you can do 2 is you don't have to do insert into twice, but the values you have to do twice. And if you just copy this and I'm going to put a comma. That's a period. I'll do a comma, and I can just actually hit return and put it down here. So as long as there's a comma in there, I'm going to do another one, and this one will be Patrick Star, and his first name is Patrick, and he is a starfish. And I'll put him in there, and then I'll do another one. I'll do a comma, and I'll hit return, and I'll paste again, and I'll make sure I didn't put a comma again. Make sure you put a comma, or if you don't, you'll see a red X there. So this one I'll do Sandy Cheeks. So her last name is Cheeks. Her first name is Sandy, and she is a squirrel. So that gives us insert into, these are the character columns we're working with, and these are what we're putting in. So we're adding multiple records in here by just putting a comma in between here. It wasn't that hard to do, so just remember, and we're using single quotes here, and everything looks okay, so I'm just going to hit go. Remember, if you mess anything up, the get autosave query will bring it back, so I'm just going to hit go. And I see green, that's a good thing, and I'll just check out my table, and I'll check out my browse, because that's where you see them, and now I have all these elements here. I have, oh, I guess I did SpongeBob twice. SpongeBob, Patrick, Sandy, so that'll give me 3, so I have 2 SpongeBobs. So if I'd want to get rid of a SpongeBob, and this will kind of mess up our numbers here, so unfortunately I didn't want to do this, but if I want to delete one of these, it'll keep the 103. It won't update the numbers, so that's okay. I'll just go back here. Let me just look at the autosave and see what I did. Oh, because I put him in again, because I only wanted to put 2 more, and I ended up keeping SpongeBob in here. So if I want to delete, let's just see. If we want to delete from it, here's SQL delete, and it's just delete from table name where condition. So let's see what it says here. They have an example here. So I'll just copy this one. Delete from, it's going to be delete from characters, and it's going to say where whatever, last name equals SpongeBob. So we'll delete one of them. Or maybe we can have an ID, whichever one you want to do. Since there's 2 of them, it might delete both of them. We'll put this in here and see what happens. I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of do it by ID number, because that way we'll know we'll get 1, because I have a feeling it might delete 2. So I'll delete this, and I'll paste this, and I'll paste over this. So I'm going to delete from characters, and I'm going to put where ID equals, and I'll just get rid, I guess I'll get rid of the first one. So I'll get rid of, and I don't know if, since it's an integer, I don't know if I need a quote in here or not. I'm going to put I'll put 101 in there, and just see if that does it. Delete from characters where ID equals 101. We'll just see if that works, and I'll hit go. And it seems like it worked. Let's just check out my browse. And it did. It took away my first one, so it didn't, since these were unique, it didn't just kind of update them, because then, you know, just think if someone dropped out of school, then they just gave them your ID. You can't do that. So it deleted the 101, and it now starts at 102. So I'm not going to renumber them. I'm going to keep it like that. So I have SpongeBob, I have Patrick, and I have Sandy. And what I'm going to do now I just kind of play the, oh yeah, I have to have a gender column in here, and I wanted to have an M and F, and I forgot to do that. Now I have to do that after the fact. It would have been a lot easier to do it when I created the database or created the table, but I didn't, so that's just the way it works. Now we have this problem solving task, because we have to add a new column. And how do we do that? Well, let's check. And what this comes under, just to give you a little help, it's under alter. So you alter the table, and here they have an add a column. So let's just copy this, and we'll go here, and we're going to add a column, and that would be under characters. That's the table, and we'll go to SQL, and we'll paste this, and it's saying alter table, and the table is characters, and we're going to add a column, and it's going to be gender. We'll call it gender, and it says data type. Now again, let's take a look at, there's all these kind of data types. Now some of these are down under references, and if you look at DB data types, that's the one you want, because it's going to have Microsoft Access. It's going to have MySQL, which is what we're using. So you've seen some of these, and these are explanations here. So it's good to know that these are here. We're going to use this one called enum. And I'm not sure what enum stands for, but it's where you kind of have a kind of different options to choose from, like a limited option, like a list of, like if you had states and you had a drop down of states, and it would be, whatever state you were in or anything like that, or a county or something. If you ever filled out a form, they would use like an enum. So we're going to use an enum here, and it's set up just like this. It doesn't have an example. It just says enum, and then it has whatever the values are in quotes. So I can even copy this if I want to, and I could just put it right in here, right where it says data type. I'll just paste enum, and I'll just put M, and I'll make another one that says F, and we're not going to use any alternate right now. We'll just stick with that for the time being as far as cartoon world. Alter table characters, add gender. So we're going to add a new column. It should put it at the end, and I'm not sure about putting it in between where that should go, but for right now it'll just go at the end, and that's okay. So gender will be after the city, and everything looks okay, so I'm going to hit go, and it looks okay. And I'll just browse and see what happened here. Now what it put in was null. We didn't put any value in here. Now the first thing you might say, oh, well, let's edit these and put in a value. Well, let's keep using SQL and keep working with that and see how we can basically alter these. So what we're going to do is, I think the easiest thing to do right now is we're going to make them all M, and then we'll make one F. That should be the easiest thing rather than picking out separate ones. So since there's 2 male and 1 female, we'll do them all M first. And the way that's going to work is we're going to go back to SQL for this, and we're going to take a look at altering. And while I'm looking for that, let's take a break here because this video is getting a little bit long. So we're going to stop with part 2 here, and then we're going to finish up with part 3 when we update this.